very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Juad Abdi.
And I'm Rochelle Tabodra. These are your headlines for tonight.
"18 new High Court judges appointed. Fourth Magistrate Nilupuli Lankapura also elevated to the High Court. Sri Lanka Police marks 159 years. President assures that no crime will be buried by time.
අපරාධයන් කිසිවක් කාලය වැලිතලාවෙන් යටපත් වීමට ඉඩ දිය යුතු නැහැ. නිසා අපරාධයට හිමි දඬුවම කවදද කලේ කොතනද කරේ කියන ભેදකින් තොරව ලබා දීම සඳහා අපේ ආණ්ඩුව කැපවී කටයුතු කරන බව මම ඔබට කියන්න කැමතියි.
Eastern nuclear powers unite in China as it commemorates its people's war victory. Trump reacts with concern, accusing China of conspiracy. Rajitha faces bribery commission. Pujit and Deshabandhu appear before court.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, President Anurukumar Dissanayake appointed 18 new High Court judges. The appointment letters were presented to the new judges at the Presidential Secretariat.
17 of the newly appointed High Court judges are special grade judicial officers, while one is a senior state counsel from the Attorney General's Department. These appointments were made by the President in accordance with Article 111(2) of the Constitution. The newly appointed High Court judges include SSK Vithana, AMIS Athanayaka, AMM Rial, TP Mudunkotwa, SBHMS Herat, J. Kajanadi Palan, HMBR Vijay Ratna, DMS Enemy Ratna, GN Pereira, A. Judson, WKDS Veeratunga, RB MDR Veligodapitia, DMRD Dissanayake and MIM Rizvi, who previously served as district judges and additional district judges. Also appointed as High Court judges were DMDC Bandara, Senior Assistant Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission, A. Jayalakshmi De Silva, Senior State Counsel, and Magistrates A. Anandaraja and KDNV Lankapura.
President Anurukumar Dissanayake asserted today that the law will be enacted on each crime without letting them be forgotten under the sands of time. The President made this statement while addressing the 159th Police Day celebrations earlier today.
The main celebrations in lieu of the 159th Police Day was held at the Police Field Force headquarters in Colombo this evening, led by President Anurukumar Dissanayake. The President was afforded Guards of Honour by the Police and Police Special Task Force, after which President Dissanayake engaged in several programs, including awarding of promotions.
The crimes or murders that remain unsolved in our country are not due to the incompetence of the police department or a lack of dedication within it. From a general perspective, behind every crime that remains unsolved, there is political influence and political power. That is the truth. No matter how much the officers of the police department attempt to carry out these investigations with commitment and dedication, history shows that such efforts have been undermined by political power. Not only were such investigations undermined, but in our country, a culture of revenge has been created against the officers who conducted them. There is a history where carrying out one's duty correctly became a reason for retaliation. I assure you that under our government, such things will not happen. You must dedicate your duty to the motherland for the safety of our people. Step forward without fear. At the same time, there are certain notions being built up that these crimes, these murders, will be washed away in 10 or 15 years. No murder is ever purified by time. No crime should be allowed to be buried under the sands of time. That is why I want to tell you that our government is committed to ensuring that justice is served for crimes regardless of when or where they were committed. Some of these cases are more than a decade and a half old. Much of the necessary evidence has often been destroyed. The evidence that has been found has deteriorated with time. Therefore, we know that these investigations are difficult. Some criminals, some murderers believe believe that time will conceal their crimes, that by hiding evidence, by letting it expire, or by burying it, they can escape justice. But I tell you, time is no obstacle to the enforcement of the law. That is why the present Inspector General of Police, as well as the senior investigating officers, carry a great responsibility. And that responsibility is to remember well that the people of this country are looking to you.
විශාල වගකීමක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගකීම තමයි මේ රටේ ජනතාව ඔබ දෙස බලාගෙන ඉන්න බව හොඳට මතක තබා ගන්න.
The Inspector General of Police detailed the progress achieved by the police over the past year.
During this year, we have achieved the following results. In drug seizures, 1,416 kilograms of ice, 946 kilograms of heroin, 12,802 kilograms of cannabis, 1,869 kilograms of other drugs, and over 30 million illicit tablets and capsules have been taken into custody. Today as well, with the support of the Navy, the police were able to seize 720 kilograms of cannabis in the northern province. In addition, the following quantities of firearms have been seized this year. 1,612 illegal weapons, including T-56 assault rifles and pistols. 17 organized criminals who were directing crimes from overseas have been brought back to Sri Lanka. Of these, the simultaneous arrest of 5 such organized criminals last week with the support of the international police is considered to be a significant milestone and a major achievement. According to the vision of the police, the goal is to create a peaceful environment where people can live without fear of crime and violence with confidence. To implement this vision, the government has now ensured that you have the opportunity to perform your duties free from any political or other interference from myself as the Inspector General of Police down to the most junior officer of the Sri Lanka Police.
Coinciding with the 159th National Police Day, the new police headquarters was declared open this morning. The ceremony took place with the participation of Minister of Public Security Anand Vijaypala, Inspector General of Police Attorney at Law Priyantha Veerasurya and several other officials. The new police headquarters was declared open amidst multi-religious blessings.
And on to some developing news overseas. China flexed its military muscle at a huge military parade in Beijing to mark 80 years since the end of World War II, displaying its latest generation of stealth fighters, tanks and ballistic missiles amid a highly choreographed cast of thousands. The parade through Tiananmen Square on Wednesday morning was overseen by Chinese President Xi Jinping, who is also the head of the country's military and the Chinese Communist Party.
In a rare show of international solidarity, Russian President Vladimir Putin, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter were among the distinguished guests. Leaders from over 20 nations including Vietnam, Malaysia, Belarus, Zimbabwe, Serbia, Cuba and Myanmar were also invited. One surprise guest at the parade was the chief of Pakistan's military, which critics say plays an outsized role in the country's politics. Field Marshal Asim Munir was not initially reported on the guest list, but was present at Wednesday's parade. Chinese President Xi Jinping, also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, gave the command for the inspection to begin. As the review vehicle moved slowly eastward, passing the fluttering flags of the party, the nation and the army, Xi saluted the flags, his eyes fixed on them. Amid resounding military music, Xi inspected foot, banner and armament formations. The parade featured over 10,000 military personnel, cutting-edge weaponry and more than 100 fighter jets, including the DF-5C nuclear ballistic missile, underscoring
peace and development is bound to triumph.
各国来宾表示热烈欢迎。
The parade not only commemorated a historic victory but also served as a reminder of China's role in the global fight against fascism, a legacy the country continues to uphold with pride and purpose.
US President Donald Trump has accused Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping of conspiring against the US with the leaders of Russia and North Korea. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, quote-unquote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." Trump previously rejected suggestions that the warming of relations between China, Russia and other nations poses a challenge to the US on the global stage. On social media, the US President also mentioned the massive amount of support and blood the US gave China during World War II. China's parade marks 8 years of Japan's surrender in the war and China's victory against an occupying force.
Italian Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Maria Tripodi, arrived in the country today on an official visit.
Italy's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Maria Tripodi, is scheduled to remain in Sri Lanka until the 5th of September. The visit is the highest level incoming visit from Italy to Sri Lanka in almost a decade. Deputy Minister Tripodi is also scheduled to call on Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amrasuriya and hold discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vichita Herath. A memorandum of understanding on the establishment of a political consultations mechanism is due to be signed during the visit, providing a structured framework for dialogue between the two countries.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Vichita Herath presented Sri Lanka's reform roadmap to Colombo-based diplomats.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vichita Herath, led a high-level briefing for members of the Colombo-based diplomatic corps, outlining the government's reform-driven progress since assuming office 11 months ago. Addressing ambassadors and representatives from international organizations, Minister Herath emphasized that the country stands at a pivotal moment, one defined by a commitment to reconciliation, human rights and inclusive development. He called on the diplomatic community to continue acknowledging and supporting Sri Lanka's transformative journey. Among the key highlights of the briefing were the government's efforts to strengthen domestic reconciliation mechanisms, including the Office on Missing Persons, Office for Reparations and the Office for National Unity and Reconciliation. Herath also detailed the progress on the Clean Sri Lanka program, the anti-corruption drive and the drafting of new counter-terrorism legislation, alongside proposed amendments to the Online Safety Act. The minister reaffirmed the administration's firm and genuine commitment to protecting the rights and well-being of all Sri Lankans and stressed the importance of international cooperation in advancing national processes that uphold the rule of law and foster sustainable growth.
The new Habarana Veyangoda electricity transmission system, built at a cost exceeding 19 billion rupees, was officially inaugurated today. The project was implemented with financial support from the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA.
The new Habarana Veyangoda electricity transmission system was inaugurated today, led by Minister of Energy, Engineer Kumar Jaikodi, and Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, Akio Isamata.
It's okay.
The project received financial assistance from Japan's JICA, structured with a 10-year grace period and repayable over 40 years. The inauguration ceremony in Habarana was attended by the Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, the program representative of JICA in Sri Lanka, and other dignitaries.
Japanese government developed a country-specific development assistance policy for Sri Lanka just a few months ago, this year. And in that very important policy document, we expressed a very strong commitment about assisting Sri Lanka in improvement of infrastructure, including electricity, including renewable energy generation and including electricity sector reform. The reason for us to continue to assist is develop a relationship together by making further investment in Sri Lanka for the benefit of Japan and Japanese people too.
Several projects have been delayed for various reasons. Upon recognizing this situation, we took several steps. First, we recommended projects that had been planned and initiated but were halted midway. Second, we intervened to accelerate the progress of projects that are currently underway but progressing slowly due to various issues and lacking specific timelines. Third, we implemented new, innovative measures aimed at stabilizing the power generation system. In particular, the Kotmare-Pulpitiya transmission line, which has been significantly delayed, will be completed very soon. This will ensure that incidents like the previous failure do not occur again, and we are taking all necessary measures to prevent such issues in the future. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has released a powerful fact-finding report following its mission to the Chemmani mass grave site, where over 200 human remains have been unearthed in what may be one of the most significant investigations into enforced disappearances in the country's history. Faded, torn and buried in the soil of what is now considered as a mass grave, a bag was discovered. In August, the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka conducted a fact-finding mission on the ongoing investigation into the mass grave site in Chemmani and released a report on its findings. The report outlines serious concerns about the adequacy of forensic expertise, technological resources and institutional accountability. Based on the preliminary feedback of the experts working at the site, the HRCSL learned that over 90% of the human remains found at the site had no form of clothing whatsoever. It was also observed that given the positioning of the skeletal remains, including the fact that some remains were in extreme proximity to one another and the shallow depth of the remains, there is a reasonable likelihood that the burials were unlawful and pursuant to extrajudicial killings. The Commission has called for the establishment of a permanent independent office to investigate and prosecute serious crimes by state officials, including enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. It also recommended the creation of a DNA bank to match remains with families of the disappeared and the use of bomb pulse carbon dating to accurately determine the age of the remains. Among the 17 recommendations issued to various ministries and institutions, HRCSL urged the Ministry of Justice to adopt a standard operating procedure for mass grave investigations, the Ministry of Finance to expedite the release of vital forensic equipment held at customs.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability. A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
Welcome back to the news. Police say the shooting that occurred in Maligawata this morning is believed to have resulted from a clash between organized criminal gangs. The victim, an employee at a vehicle spare parts shop, sustained injuries.
The shooting was captured on CCTV device of a nearby shop in Maligawata. Two unidentified assailants who arrived on a motorcycle fled the scene immediately after opening fire. A T-56 assault rifle was used in the shooting. Police said the shop employee sustained serious injuries to his shoulder and is currently receiving treatment at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka.
Case file.
Former Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, who is currently in remand custody, was brought before the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Now, this was in accordance with a directive issued recently by the Colombo Magistrates Court for the purpose of recording a statement.
Rajitha Senaratne was remanded on the 29th of August after being presented before court in connection with an incident where he allegedly caused a loss of over 20 million rupees to the government by awarding a sand mining project at the Kirinda Fisheries Harbour to a Korean company. The Bribery Commission stated that the project was awarded without cabinet approval and without calling for an environmental assessment report. The Commission had requested court permission to obtain a statement from Senaratne while in remand custody, and he was presented before the Commission in line with that request. The former minister is currently in remand custody until the 9th of September.
Case file.
Several members of the Central Committee of the Pivituru Hela Urumaya met with opposition leader Sajith Premadasa this morning, claiming that there are preparations underway to arrest former Minister Udaya Gammanpila. The meeting took place at the office of the leader of the opposition.
As you may already know, there are indications that Udaya Gammanpila may be arrested under the ICCPR Act. We believe it is crucial to inform the opposition leader about this. The government, unable to fulfill its promises to the people and struggling with its own failures, is now attempting to silence those who expose its shortcomings. We strongly oppose these actions aimed at suppressing dissent.
නීති තර්කවලින් කලපමි පුද්ගලෙක් මේ උදේ ගම්මන්පිල මහත්මයා කොහෙද දැන් මේ හැංගිලා කොහෙද ඉන්නේ කොහෙද හැංගිලා ඉන්නේ
හැංගිවන්නේ නෙමෙයි මහත්මයා ඇත්තටම එතුමාගේ උසස් අධ්‍යාපන කටයුතු සඳහා තමයි එතුමා විදේශගත වෙලා ඉන්නේ
එතුමා කවදද ලංකාවට එන්නේ දැන් සතියකට සැරයක් මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡාවක් තිබ්බා දැන් ඒවත් නෑ
ලබන සතියේ එතුමා ලංකාවට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම වෙනවා සැප්තැම්බර් 10 වගේ දවසක ඇත්තටම එතුමා විදේශගත වෙලා ඉන්නේ තමන්ගේ ඉහළ අධ්‍යාපන කටයුත්තක් සඳහා.
Meanwhile, the Criminal Investigation Department informed the Colombo Magistrates Court on the 22nd of August that an investigation has been launched into a statement made by Udaya Gammanpila during a recent media briefing. The CID stated that the probe was initiated following a complaint and is being conducted under provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or ICCPR Act.
Case file.
Reports indicate that opposition leader and Samagi Janabalawegya leader Sajith Premadasa is expected to be summoned before the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The summons is reportedly linked to an ongoing investigation based on a complaint received by the Commission. According to sources, the complaint alleges that state funds were used for development activities at the United National Party's Sirikota headquarters. Deputy Minister of Housing T.B. Sarath today inspected several housing projects in Kilinochchi that were initiated by Sajith Premadasa between 2018 and 2019 but are yet to be completed. Here is the current state of an unfinished housing project in the village of Punnai Niravi in the Kilinochchi district.
This was what was done to fulfill his presidential dream without any proper plan. He has been laying the foundations for these houses, allocating funds for a large number of them. He raised people's hopes, but he did not solve their problems. That's what people like Sajith have always done. They raise people's hopes and then they don't solve the problems. It's the same thing now. He goes everywhere, gets a few people and his own members of parliament together, comes to the city and gives a voice cut about how there's no price for paddy, no price for this, and no houses being built. He's working for his own survival, not for permanent solutions for the people. That's what Sajith's house building initiatives show us. According to the basic law of the country, any leader who has committed mistakes, not only Sajith, will be punished in the future. That is not the doing of this government. It is the basic law of the country. Many political leaders in our country have understood the reality of a country where everyone is treated justly and fairly. They claim it is an act of revenge, but that isn't the case. When we visit these sites, we can comprehend what has truly happened. If any acts of fraud or corruption have taken place, the law will be enacted. We will not influence it.
The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court today ordered that the case related to the act of arson on the private residence of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, which took place on the 9th of July 2022, be referred to the Attorney General for further instructions.
When the case was called, the suspects, who are currently on bail, appeared before open court. Among them were former Member of Parliament Jayashree Ranga, Andrew Yvonne Pereira, Manju Vethamuni, Shareen Vikramasinghe, Dilrug Madhushankar, Ashant Sandeep, Anwar Ali and Indika Prasad. Charges against them relate to allegations of unlawfully obstructing government officials from getting onto a fire service vehicle during the arson attack on former President Ranil Vikramasinghe's private residence on the 9th of July 2022. The case is scheduled to be heard again on the 14th of January 2026.
The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court ordered that the case related to the May 9, 2022 attack on protesters at Golface Green be referred to the Attorney General for advice. The case, filed as offences under the Public Property Act, involves suspects accused of causing damage to state property. A total of 37 suspects are named in the case, including former MPs Milan Jayatilaka, Johnston Fernando and former Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon. At today's hearing, Tennakon, who was previously taken into custody as the 37th suspect and later released on bail, appeared along with 35 other suspects, including former Minister Johnston Fernando and former MP Milan Jayatilaka. The Magistrates Court issued warrants for the arrest of the two suspects who failed to appear at today's hearing and scheduled the next hearing for the 21st January 2026. The charges against former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jasundara related to the alleged criminal intimidation and coercion against an elevator operator at the Criminal Investigation Department were dropped today by the Fort Magistrates Court. The court issued this order after determining that the suspect had not acted with criminal intent and that his actions did not amount to misconduct in the line of duty. The case against former IGP Pujit Jasundara was filed over an incident which had allegedly taken place on the 11th April 2017. Former IGP Jasundara was accused of verbally abusing and threatening an officer named A.H. Samarakon Banda, who was working as the Elevator 1 operator at the Criminal Investigation Department, and of attempting to assault him. An internal investigation into the incident was launched by the CID based on a complaint made by the officer to then acting IGP C.D. Vikramaratne on the 2nd June 2019.
The Godawaya Shipwreck exhibition was inaugurated in Colombo today.
The Godawaya Shipwreck exhibition was opened in Colombo by U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Jolie Chung and Minister of Buddhasasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs Dr. Hiniduma Sunil Senavi, together with the Central Cultural Fund's Maritime Archaeology Unit. The event marked the culmination of the multi-year Godawaya Shipwreck project funded through the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation, or the AFCP, a U.S.-Sri Lanka partnership to preserve the oldest known wooden shipwreck in the Asia-Pacific region, dating back over 2,100 years.
For centuries, safe sea lanes have powered prosperity and cultural exchange. And today, they remain essential not only for global trade, but also for the security and livelihoods of the American and Sri Lankan people. The Godawaya Shipwreck reminds us secure sea lanes have powered commerce for centuries. They continue to protect American and Sri Lankan interests today. The artifacts displayed here, the pottery, beads, copper ingots, and more, tell us about the technologies, the economies, and daily lives of those who sailed these seas centuries ago. They also remind us of Sri Lanka's enduring place at the crossroads of culture and trade. The artifacts removed from the shipwreck are on display here in Colombo today, and it will eventually be housed in a permanent exhibition at the Maritime Archaeology Museum in Galle.
The exhibition was open to the public from 11 a.m. on the 3rd of September and from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the 4th and 5th of September. Visitors can explore artifacts recovered from the shipwreck, including pottery, grinding stones, glass and metal ingots, and carnelian beads.
News First with the people.
On to some sports news. Sri Lanka recorded a 4-wicket win in the first T20 against host Zimbabwe a short while ago. The match was part of a 3-match T20 series played between Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka captain Charit Tasalanka won the toss and elected to field first. Opening the batting for the hosts, Brian Bennett and Tadivanashe Marumani stitched up an opening partnership of 22 runs. Experienced campaigner Sean Williams was dismissed for 14 runs, while captain Sikandar Raza was caught off Dushan Hemantha for 28. Opener Brian Bennett was the standout among the batsmen for Zimbabwe, scoring 81 runs off 57 deliveries. Dushmantha Chamira picked up 3 scalps. Zimbabwe ended the first innings on 175 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. Chasing a target of 176 for victory, Sri Lankan openers Pathum Nissanka and Kusal Mendis provided a solid platform for the visitors with a 96-run partnership for the first wicket. Despite a slight collapse in the middle order, a spirited performance from Kamidu Mendis, scoring 41 runs in just 16 balls, allowed the visitors to reach their target with 4 wickets to spare and 5 balls remaining. Pathum Nissanka was the top scorer for Sri Lanka with 55 runs. The second T20 encounter between the two sides will take place on Saturday, the 6th of September.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.